I don't want any comments about the shorts from Calvin or from any of our viewers. My wife said it would be appropriate to wear shorts. With legs like that, it should be a no-no. But Calvin gave me the weather forecast this morning and said it was going to be a cool day in Malone, about 80 degrees. So I said the shorts are okay for today. We're here at the Franklin County Fair, affectionately known by me and by literally thousands of other people from the North Country as the Malone Fair. And who have we got here?
You got Howard Manili. I'm the president of the Franklin County Fair.
Howard, we were sent messages from Bill LePage of the Clinton County Fair. I'm not sure we can repeat all of the stuff he told us, but had something to do about carrying somebody, and each of you claim you carried the other one. I have no idea what that's all about.
Well, you see, I'm kind of stooped over like this. I carried him for years, but since I retired, I kind of straightened out.
And he's coming down to see you, I hear.
Yes, he was here Sunday night. He's coming again tonight, which would be Friday night.
This is a tremendous fair, but before we get into the Franklin County Fair, the Malone Fair, I want to hear a little more about you. What's your history?
My history, well, I've been on the board of directors since 1971, and I've been president. This is the 6th year I've been president. I was president for 3 years back in the 80s, and I'm president again.
Now, how about your personal life, your job through the years? You were a correction officer.
Yes, I worked for the New York State Department of Correction for 35 years. I worked 22 years at Clinton Correctional Facility. And when I got promoted, I moved to other facilities, and I retired from Franklin Correctional Facility in 1996 as Deputy Superintendent of Security.
Your home is right here in Malone?
My home is in Malone.
Where do you live?
On State Street.
Good place to be. You see, I've got memories from down here. Some of our viewers might know that I graduated from high school in the old Moira High School in 1955. You were a couple years ahead of me. You probably went to Franklin Academy.
Franklin Academy, I graduated in 54. You were smarter than I was.
You see. And I went to a lot of places and finally ended up back in the North Country, and I'm pretty happy about that. But I'll tell you what, some of my fondest memories are right inside the gates of this fairgrounds. I haven't been inside. I've been by many times during Fair Week, but I haven't been back to the fair in, let's say, maybe about 42 years.
You are telling your age now, aren't you?
I don't even mind.
No?
But it's a good fair, and it's successful every year, and I don't know what the magic formula is, Howard, but...
Well, I think a lot has to do with our location. We're in downtown Malone. In Malone, everything stops. The Franklin County Fair is a tradition.
You know, we in Clinton County, we call ours an agricultural fair. Do you do the same or not?
But certainly, we're a big agriculture fair. We have so many cattle that we had to split our cattle show. The first part of the week, we had the whole season, the black and whites. We had about 189 entries. We let them go home Wednesday night. We cleaned the barns and disinfect them. And now we had the color breeds in, and we have about 190 entries in that. So, and we probably got 900 entries in the poultry department. We got sheep, we got swine, we got the chickens, the cattle, and the horses.
Probably a few homegrown vegetables, maybe.
Or at Vegetable Hall, we got a lot of homegrown vegetables right next door to this building.
The beauty of an area county fair, small county fair in northern New York, is the fact that you have a lot of exhibitors who are just plain folks.
That's right. That's just what we need. It's a good chance for the farmers to come in here and meet the public to buy their products. They get to ask questions, they get to visit. And as I say, it's a tradition in Malone.
And a great tradition, too, as I prove by my fond memories. I'm going to tell you how far back I go. I remember the Hell Drivers every year.
Jack Kochman Hell Drivers.
Jack Kochman Hell Drivers, a guy by the name of Lucky Teeter, who was killed in another venue.
You just follow me over here for 1 minute.
Yeah, we'll follow you. We'll follow you anywhere, Howard. As long as we've got a long enough cord to go inside the room, we'll be glad to do that. Oh boy, we're going into the closet. Archive. Is this called the archives? Oh man, a weather-worn.
We just mentioned Lucky Teeter, and I just happened to have something
right here. Look at this. I think the rats got to this one.
Yes, it was found in the barn over in St. Lawrence County 2 years ago when I bought it from a guy.
Now, you see, remember when I said Malone Fair? See what that says? That doesn't say Franklin County Fair. That says Malone Fair. Lucky Teeter and his Hell Drivers.
This from 1944. That was the year he got killed. And it was a couple weeks after he left Malone.
Isn't that amazing? I knew it had been shortly after he left this area. I love it when a plan comes together. As I told Calvin on the way down here today, you never know how a show's going to go or what you're going to get into, but here is a wonderful history of the Malone Fair and Lucky Teeter, perhaps the most famous hell driver. I'll never forget the announcers. And there they go, over the higher elevations.
Well, you're talking about a Malone guy that did an announcement for years. He's deceased now. He died a year ago last June. No, Bob Conto.
Oh, Bob Conto.
He worked for the Cosman Hell Drivers for many years, and he was born and raised in Malone.
I was thinking of Don Pez working for WICY, the local radio station, for probably 45 years before he died.
Don was he was a big supporter of our fair. Matter of fact, one of my younger brothers married his oldest daughter.
Yeah, now you see, there's always a tie-in somewhere, and if there isn't one, we'll make one up as we go along. Today, Howard, what seems to be, now at our fair up there in Clinton County, I think the Demolition Derby is probably, next to the big acts, country acts they bring in, the Demolition Derby is the hottest thing on board. What do you have down here?
Well, besides our country acts, the Demolition Derby is the next big crowd pleaser. We have two here.
Two derbies?
Two derby. We have one on the opening night, which was last Saturday night, then we have our second one was this past Monday night. Grandstand was packed for both of them.
Really?
Yes.
And how is it very difficult to line up these big, you have several big country names, for example, this year.
But I already started talking to the booking agent about next year. He's on the grounds with us during the week for a variety of attractions, and we're kicking some names around for next year already.
It's a matter of getting up early, I guess, and beating the other guy to the punch.
The early bird gets the worm.
Now, how do you have to go travel to conventions, or how do you go about picking these people?
Well, there's a New York State Association of Fairs convention every year. It used to be in Syracuse, now it's in Rochester in January. But most of the time, we have our entertainment all done before we go to the convention. I was president of the New York State Association back in 1988, so.
Contacts, that's the name of the game. If you know people, you can call them up on the phone and say, hey, I need something, can you help me?
You're right.
That makes a big difference. As you know, with all those years in corrections, if you know the right people, you can get the job done.
But I say we deal with a good agency, variety of attractions for our entertainment. They're a national agency. Matter of fact, they've been awarded a few times in a big award show as the best friend to young country stars.
Oh, terrific. Now, how about exhibits here at the fair? We've talked already about some of them. We'll get around to the carnival in a minute, but give me an idea about some of the other exhibits that people might see at the Malone Fair, the Franklin County Fair.
Well, to start here by the office, the first place they're going to be Vegetable Hall, right next to the office. That's for farm produce and canned goods, cakes and pies and fudge, which I have to sample every now and then. I get fudge twice a year, Fair Week and at Christmas time.
Man after my own heart, I knew it.
Then we have New York State Police have an exhibit in the front of Vegetable Hall, and the Attorney General's office, and the Department of Corrections. And across from them we have our Fair Memories exhibit, where we picked up stuff from the past fairs and we hang them in there. We have a big, after that, go down, the Fish and Game Club has a big exhibit there. All the Federation of Fish and Games clubs there. You should see that, all the stuffed deer heads and bears and all other animals.
Oh, we'll be there.
And from there, the next building will be domestic arts, that's right. Or all the flowers, antiques, paintings. And that takes care of this side of the facility for exhibits. The rest of the commercial exhibits from there down to the grandstand. Then on the other side of the grounds, we have the big Poultry Hall, which is full of birds. Then from that to the cattle barn, which is 650 foot long, and that's a lot of color breeds in there right now. Then we have the show horse next barn out of the cattle barn, and we got for the show horse barn, and next to that is the racehorse barn. So we have plenty of animals on the grounds. And behind our big commercial exhibit hall, we have the 4-H, and they got over 2,000 exhibits in there.
4-H is very strong in most county fairs. It's great to have them represented here. I'm sure a lot of kids, a lot of good programs.
A lot of kids, and they have a very, very good 4-H supervisor, Ron Howell. He does a good job with them.
This fairground is set up a little bit different than ours is, and different than a lot of the others have, but it's been this way for a long time. You have the racetrack in the middle and everything all around it.
Right. We're landlocked. We're in between all the streets. There's Main Street in front and Andrews Street on one side and William Street on the other side, and we're landlocked. We cannot expand.
Well, you couldn't get a much better location.
No, this is the best location in the state.
You know, I never asked you the history of this fair. I know it's been around as long as you and I have, but I bet you it's been around longer than that.
This is our 147th year. So, the grandstand was built in 1897. In the grandstand 4 years ago, we reconstructed all the understructure underneath and put all new seats in. So this should be good for another 100 years.
The only thing older is the 15th of Redford. They've got that old carousel up there.
You're right. I remember Father Norm used to run that.
Oh, boy. Good times all around this North Country. You know, we've said it before, and I'll say it again. There's nothing like being in a small town or a village in northern New York. Great places to live and work.
You want to believe it? I love Malone.
Well, Howard, we're going to take a look around these fairgrounds. We're going to meet some of the people and meet some of the livestock and meet some of the people who have exhibits and find out just if this fair is just as good as you say it is.
Well, I say it's one of the best in the state.
Yeah, here's the guy with a smile, and he's never lied yet. Check his shoulders before we go on our tour. And we'll be back to take another look at the Franklin County Fair after this word. I lied. We're still inside the office with Howard. We couldn't leave. The air conditioning is so beautiful inside here. We had so much to talk about, and I got so excited by seeing that Lucky Teeter poster. I was overcome momentarily. Actually, the reason for staying inside here is to talk about the future a little bit. You guys got some plans, Howard. Tell me about it.
Well, about the last 5 years, we've been talking about building a permanent concert stage, and now it's going to come to being. But for 1998, we will have the stage constructed before the fair.
Why will it be different from what you have now? How much different?
Well, we have a slab out there in front of the grandstand, and we rent a.
Busy guy, boy.
we rent a portable top with lights from a national agency. But when this stage is constructed, we'll still have to rent the lights. The light company come in, and we'll have pulleys to pull the lights right up there in place. It'll be out of sight from the grandstand, and the lights will be set. And for years we had problems with our track seats. We have all these sound columns on the ground, and with the new stage, all the sound will be flown in the air too.
It'll be quite nice. Can we get a look at it?
We have some preliminary plans from the architect here.
Well, it's upside down for you and me, but we'll have to show it to Calvin and the camera and our viewers the other way, and you'll have to describe what we have here.
Will be the structure as seen from the grandstand. It'll be 40 feet deep and 80 foot long. And it's being top where we have our dressing rooms down. We're going to take the top off that building and construct this new stage on top of the dressing rooms. And then the dressing rooms will stay intact, but just the top of the building will be gone, which will make the stage 5 foot off the ground, which most of your big acts require now.
So how do you fund something like this?
Well, from our reserve fund and what we earn at the fair, and Senator Safford was so kind to us to give us a memorandum grant of $50,000 towards it.
Ooh, that's better than a sharp stick any day.
He's been wonderful for the North Country.
So is this the final design that we're looking at?
Yeah, that's the final design. I got one kind of colored out over here on the wall. You can see how it would look after being constructed.
Somebody painted it in and...
Yeah, the architect did that for us.
So that'll be kind of a major change for you, won't it?
That'll be a big change. That's a major construction for 1998.
Will it be done in time?
Yes, it'll be done in time for the fair, guaranteed.
Don't you love this kind of optimism? He probably got his friends already lined up to do it. Do you have to? How do you do that? Have you got a contractor all picked out, or are you guys going to do it?
No, not yet. We're waiting for our blueprints. This is just the preliminary designs. Waiting for the blueprints to be drawn up, then we'll put it out for bid.
Now, you and I were reminiscing again. You're going to hear a lot of reminiscing on this program. That's what happens when you get old. But I was remembering the carnivals when I was a kid here, and you came up with a name that, boy, struck a bell with me.
I mean, OC Buck.
There it is, boy. Magic to a little kid.
OC Buck Show did the Malone Fair, or Franklin County Fair.
See, I caught him.
No, the Franklin County Fair for many, many years. And back in the late 60s, he decided to retire, and he had a man named Roland Page that worked for a year, then he bought the carnival. And Roland Page renamed the carnival the Buck Page Shows. And early 70s, he merged with the Museums of America, and he went to work for him, and Museums of America got his route of the Northern Fairs.
We took a look at your carnival on the way in here, and it looks like it's got a lot of stuff.
They have 28 rides out there this year, plus the other games and eating stands, but they give us a real good midway this year.
And I'll bet you, out of those 28 rides, I'd get sick on about 27 of them. So I wouldn't dare to have a beer and a cotton candy before I got them.
Well, you're about the same position I'm in. They're all safe, they're all inspected, but being at our age and our shape, I don't think it would be wise for us to ride.
I can go up and down, and I can go fast in a straight line, but the minute you take that first corner, you lost me, baby.
Yeah, right. The last ride I went on was down at Opryland a couple years ago. We came out of a Tanya Tuckett concert, and we were on the grounds, and it was about 95 degrees out, so we went on a water ride. And the sign says, caution, you will get wet, where most of the time it says, caution, you might get wet. We got drenched. That's the last time I've been on one.
You didn't forget either.
I didn't forget.
Well, now we're going to take another break, and now we are going to take a look around the fine fairgrounds today at the Franklin County Fair. Well, Howard and I have talked about a lot of memories from our personal lives and from the Malone/Franklin County Fair, and he told me he'd prove it to me. He proved it to me by opening a closet door and pulling out a poster from Lucky Teeter from a long time ago, and now we're in what he calls the Memories Building, right, Howard?
Right, Gordy. We started this about 5 years ago, and we got some pictures from back in 1919, 1900s, 1920, but 1896, Malone Fairground.
Even you and me don't go back that far.
Not quite that far, right? And we have the pictures of old things, 1907 airship at the Franklin County Fair.
Oh my goodness, that's down in the middle, if Calvin can get a shot of it. Isn't that amazing? A lot of the old horse races, you and I haven't mentioned that, but horse racing is always a big part of this fair.
Yes, today is our third day of harness racing. So.
A lot of the old names, I remember the Gale family from Moira involved in racing in many years.
They still are in the pages, the Gales, the Harold Smiths, and we have a lot of horses from outside the county too.
We always talk about some of our own horse people up in Clinton County as being very effective, and these people don't only race in their hometown.
Oh, Jack Connell there, he's
Jack Connell?
Connell, yes, he's
his,
here too.
His daughter married my son, so I always have to drop a name there. Jack's been around for a long time.
Jack's been around. He's
done all his Jack Sioux horses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Jack's quite a guy.
He's a great guy. Great guy. Been involved in politics up in that area for a long time and has raised a lot of horses, and he's still going strong. What else have we got here? I see Governor Rockefeller there, right in the middle. I don't know what Calvin's looking at. Oh, some of the old postcards, but Governor Rockefeller right here, 1966.
Yes, that was called Governor's Day. He came to visit the fair.
Look next to it, going on the left, see Ron Stafford.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Take a look at that hairline, will you? Wouldn't that be? You know you're old when you remember every single one of these big people in those pictures from the 60s. That's terrific.
I guess so. We also have some premium books in here. You can probably see some of the dates, 1913, 1912, 1905, and I got one 1800 and something. I don't know where they put it. But
you know, the amazing part of it is those premium books haven't changed in size throughout the years, have they? They're all roughly the same size.
All roughly the same size.
For those people who are unlucky enough never to have been to this fair or any other county fair, what the heck is a premium book?
A premium book is our Bible, which we put out to all our potential exhibitors. They can read what classes they want to put their stuff in, how much they have to pay for an entry fee, and what they get the blue ribbon.
You know, that's the big thing. That's where the phrase blue ribbon beer, blue ribbon anything else comes from the old county fairs where never mind prize money, never mind anything else. If you were a little kid and you raised the best tomatoes and you could come home with a blue ribbon or the nicest calf, that meant more than anything else in your life at that time.
You know, also the Franklin County Fair is number 4 in the state for paying premiums of all the fairs in the state. There's only 3 other fairs in the state of New York that pays more premiums than we do. So we're right up there for premiums paid. We pay over $90,000 in premiums for our exhibitors.
Never would have guessed that.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take very long to see that this is a successful fair. And, you know, Howard would like to take 85 or 90% of the credit, but...
No, I have 11 men on my board of directors.
I'm only kidding.
I'm just one cog in the big wheel.
Well, it takes a lot of people. And as you said, it's something that everybody in this county and in neighboring counties connects with every year. It's the big event of the year. You got to go to the Malone Fair, the Franklin County Fair.
Malone, the village of Malone stops during Fair Week. Everything is right down here in these grounds.
You know, and that's the envy of a lot of other communities who wish they could pull that off, but they can't quite do it. But it's just tradition here.
It's tradition and our location too, right in the village, so right on Main Street.
But as I said before, so many people work hard, and it's not only during Fair Week, although everybody's busting hump here, as they say, to make sure this fair is a success. But you're already looking at next year, for example.
Oh yeah, you have to line up your entertainment for next year, or you won't get the top stars.
Yeah, let's look over here and see some of the things we have on this side.
Well, we got one right here. I think you ought to look at 1909 WCTU food stand. Remember there
Oh my goodness, how could I ever forget, with my father a Methodist minister? The Women's Christian Temperance Union, for those young people who have no idea what temperance might be. I grew up very familiar with that acronym in my household. And note the Ferris wheel.
Yes, that's one of the old first Ferris wheels.
Isn't it? What a great photograph. Where did you get all these pictures? Are they from private collections?
Some private collections, and we have a formal director who has a lot of pictures, and he brings them down here.
Oh, that's great. And we're going back a long ways, because we've got a gentleman down here.
Before this gentleman gets away, you were born and raised in this area. Remember this saying right here? Owl's Head, New York, the ice box of the north.
Oh my goodness. Owl's Head.
Yeah.
My goodness.
The ice box of the north.
That's great. Tell us who you are.
Well, my name is Boye, one of the Boyes from Malone.
Oh, that's
and
terrific.
I moved to New Jersey to work and kept coming back every year.
How can you help but come back to this area?
Yeah, you're right.
Many years ago, it's funny you should mention the ice box of the north, because I tell that to people from outside this area and they have no idea what I'm talking about. It's called the ice box because it's even colder than where Calvin lives up there in Champlain on the Ridge Road. I've seen, I dare say in Owl's Head, I've seen 50, 52 degrees below zero back in the 1950s.
I was there.
You were there?
I was somewhere.
You can spit, the freeze before it hits the ground.
Well, I'll bet you had a heavy coat on too back in those days.
Yeah.
Owl's Head, Mountain View, talk about God's country. Chasm Falls.
You'd always get the car out to thaw it out. And sometimes you're successful in thawing it, but it was a tough life.
Oh, I've seen people build fires under Model A to warm it up, I'll tell you that. And antifreeze, as we know it, wasn't invented back in those days, so you very often drained the radiator and put alcohol in it, right?
Yep.
Oh yeah, we're talking about, this guy's got a glint in his eye. I think he knows, huh? What are some of your fond memories about the Franklin County Fair? Some of your earliest memories?
Oh my. The last few we've missed, because I'm not living here anymore. And we had to come back this time. I'm getting too close.
It's great though, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's great. Fond memories for me now. I haven't been back here in 42 years.
Oh boy.
I was a senior in high school the last time I went to what was then known as the Malone Fair. Can you remember the first time you ever came to the fair here?
No, I can't. I used to park cars down the street from here on the right side.
Everybody parked cars. You got to make a buck during Fair Week, right?
I used to sell programs on the grandstand.
Did you really?
Sure.
So you got good memories, huh?
I have a few.
That's great. It's pleasant to talk to you. Thanks for stopping by.
Okay.
Good to see you. Owl's Head, the ice box of the North Country. I've been down there on a snowmobile many years ago when I wasn't quite as wise as I am now. So eventually it got to me. You can freeze your behind side going through those mountains in the middle of the winter.
You're right. I know all about that too.
It's a great place. What do we got here? Franklin County Fair, Malone, New York, September 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th. Whoa.
That's a horse blanket.
That's a horse blanket?
That's the horse blanket. I got two of them here. I got another one hanging on the wall. That's what they used to give with the coolers they give away after races in the winters. That's what they give back then.
1902, or as the old timer said, 1902.
Yeah. And the other one's 1919. I got hanging on the wall.
Oh, isn't there? And there's another picture over there of the airship. Some other posters here where it looked like they came out of somebody's barn.
All right. They probably did.
From the early 1920s.
Well, Johnny Paycheck was in the 70s. Remember he had the song "Take That Job and Shove It."
I could sing it for you, but I'm not sure it would be appropriate for a lot of reasons on this show. Oh, terrific memories. We got a beautiful...
And there you go, Johnny, or Jack Hatchman's Hell Drivers again.
Right there.
Yep.
I'm twisting myself around. We got the Woodsman's Days. Let me move over here so Calvin can get in. All kinds of pictures. Woodsman's Days, $1,280 chainsaw competition. Calvin and I came past a guy right outside of Malone this morning on our way here that was carving things out of with his chainsaw.
Right. And of course, they got the Malone Elks, picture of Malone Elks Lodge, which is the former home of Vice President William Alvin Wheeler. That's what's our local Elks Club today. That's hanging there.
How much different does it look today, Howard?
Well, now it's made into a fraternal organization club, and there's quite a changes there from the outside too.
You know, I'm trying to see, but it looks like, does that say Chateauguay Chasm Power over on the right-hand side, 1904?
Yeah.
Boy, some old memories there too, huh?
And there's one of the posters from 1922 for
Up above
horse
it?
racing. Yeah, for horse racing.
Oh, yeah, and the railroad, there's the Chateauguay Railroad Station up above there. Look at the old cow catcher on there. Is that kind of cool or what? And to the left of that, it says the Franklin County Agricultural Society awarded this diploma to somebody, exhibited at their annual fair. And that date, boy, my eyes are bad, but it looks like 18-something, 1882 maybe?
Something like that, 1882. We have a home over our fireplace. When my wife retired from the school, they found a hand-painted poster down in Long Island somewhere at an antique show, and they bought it and they presented it to her when she graduated. But it's a picture advertised in the Franklin County Fair in 1902. It was all hand-painted.
Absolutely terrific, with some of the various colored ribbons that date back to, well, that's around the years when you and I were born, 35, 37, 33, 26, 41. There's one the year I was born, 1937, over near the right-hand side. Great memories. This, I bet you people get a kick out of this, especially the old-timers.
The old-timers, they come in here and they look and they reminisce about what they can see, that they can remember.
And I wouldn't be surprised if in future years some of them drag out a few old pictures that they might let you borrow to expand it, you know?
I had a guy come in one day that found that in his garage. It says Franklin County Fair in Malone, August 21st to the 27th.
It looks like it might have been a license plate or something.
Yeah, well, that thing went over his license plate. But he found it back in his garage there, and he brought it down and gave it to me.
That's terrific. There's a lot more to see and do at the Franklin County Fair, and we're going to see and do as much as we have time for. We'll be back in just a minute. You know, the fair itself here in Franklin County is a great piece of history, but every tiny community throughout the North Country has a story to tell, as many of the citizens do, whether they're senior citizens or not. And this is a perfect example. A tiny exhibit for the Bombay Historical Society that says 110 years, and it talks about all the services they have, gives us a great piece of history about the Saratoga and St. Lawrence, Bombay, Moira Railroad line, Canada and United States, Fort Covington and Bombay. We're talking 110 years ago, but these are places that are familiar to me: Messina Springs and Fort Covington, Bombay and Messina. I've seen a lot of these old railroad stations. I talked to a lot of the old people, and people my age and youngsters of any age always love railroads. The reason I'm showing you this is, number one, it's a piece of North Country history, and number two, Calvin and I at Hometown Cable have decided we would love to do a little sketch of almost every community here in the North Country, in Clinton, Essex, and Franklin County at one time or another. I know you've got a story to tell. You've got a historical house. You've got an old train station. You have an old schoolhouse. You have some wonderful churches. Each one has tremendous history. And if any of you watching our program today would like to contact us, can set it up for us to spend a day talking to you or some members of your community, we'd love to do it. This 90-minute program will be airing every week, and you could very easily become a part of it in the future. And Calvin tells me the telephone number is easy to remember. Phone home in Champlain, 297-298 home, right?
Yep.
888-298-HOME. Remember that number? Dial the number. If Calvin's not there, just leave a message. We'll call you and set up a time and come to interview you and your community and enjoy it all the same. The comment that Calvin made just before the camera started to roll here was, "This should be locked." He knows the image that Gordy Little, who's he, presents over the years, and you know I like good baked goods, and look at this. Oh, we have cakes and pies of every description, and every single one of them looks beautiful. Look at those blue ribbons. I think I'd settle for the red ribbons today. Just give me a spoon and let me go to work inside this case. Some of them are exceedingly clever. We've got a gumball machine over here. We have many colors represented. We have one for the Irish right here. We got an owl over in the corner, and below that we have what appears to be a nursery. People are so clever. And here's one down here that says Franklin County Fair. A picture of a little train and a track, or one of the rides. That's beautiful. And another award winner. Oh, look at those little chocolate drops down below and these orange fingers. I have no idea what you might call them, but this is exceptional. And these are the products of some of the people that Howard and I were talking about earlier today that are represented in this fair every year and in little fairs all around the North Country. We have many, many more. You're going to have to hold me back right here. This is beautiful.
This is dangerous, Gordy.
This
is unprotected.
This is absolutely dangerous. They should have this behind the mesh like we did for the Memories exhibit. Because maybe you can even hear in my voice that I'm drooling a little bit here, and I didn't even bring my usual portable fork to get into it. These things have already been judged at the fair, and they're everything from cookies to banana bread to brownies to the most delicious looking fudge on the bottom, and the canned goods. I'm sure Calvin and many of the people in our viewing audience have grown up in homes in the North Country where canning was a major part of what you did during the late fall and early winter, because if you didn't, boy, come along the later part in February, you didn't have much to eat. And when they talk about what's in the larder, they're talking about canned goods. And some of my fondest memories are of my mother setting up the big kerosene stove and that great, huge kettle that she did her canning with. And we raised most of the things we ate right in our garden, and if we didn't, we went out and got a side of beef or whatever it took.
My mother did a lot of canning, but who can forget, I should say, that great Andy Griffith show with Aunt Bee's pickles.
Oh, man. You talk about pickles. I'm the biggest pickle person there is in the whole wide world, and I love all kinds, from the sweet pickles to the dill pickles to the big long ones to the little short ones and everything in between. We have a variety of canned items here. Jellies of every color and description, and some of these great old North Country recipes, I'm sure. One of the great charming things about the North Country is the cookbooks. Almost every church and organization has its own cookbook, and the cookbook represents some of the favorite recipes that are handed down from generation to generation. Tremendous exhibit of food here at the Clinton County Fair. It's got me smiling. I don't know what we're going to see next, but whatever it is, it can't hold a candle to the food. There are so many memories for me, and I hope for you as we conclude our program in a little while here at the Franklin County Fair. We stopped at a place called the Brushton Grange 901. Calvin and I were chatting about granges because we both have memories. And I'm sure there aren't too many granges still active in the North Country. Brushton has one. I looked at a painting over here to the left. It has you can see that everything is very carefully marked in this exhibit so that we can see in the lower right-hand corner that that is a painting. I have no idea the history of that painting, but the minute I looked at it, I thought of the name Maud Stiles. And if anybody watching our program is from the Brushton, Moira area, they remember Maud Stiles, who did for me some 45 years ago a painting of the Moira High School, which doesn't even exist anymore. They tore it down right after I graduated. I'm not sure if my class had anything to do with it, but they ripped it down after that, and Maud Stiles made that painting, and I still have it. And I also have some very fond memories of coming to the Grange Hall right here in Malone, New York, all through my high school years, and square dancing every Saturday night. The boys were on one side, the girls were on the other side, and every now and again they would get together. So fond memories of the Grange, and I want to thank the Brushton Grange 901 for labeling everything so that we know what a place setting is, we know what a chair is, we know that that's a tablecloth. I maybe wouldn't have guessed what the salt dish was. The spoon dish, that's kind of cool. And the candy dish and the pickle dish and the rocking chair over on the left-hand side. It's a very nice exhibit here at the Franklin County Fair. You know, memories are among our most cherished possessions, and as Calvin and I were walking into this building, a gentleman came up to me, shook my hand, and said, "Gordy Little, how are you? My name is Roger Sturgeon." That brought back some golden memories of his younger brother Charlie, who was my best friend in high school. I hadn't been back to the Franklin County Fair, which we used to call the Malone Fair, in 42 years, and I hadn't seen Roger Sturgeon, who lives in Ellenburg, in 42 years. So if this program today is entertaining for our viewers, you can imagine just how special it is for me. Also, on our ride down here from Ellenburg, Calvin and I were talking about doing a program at the Wilder Homestead, and we walked inside the booth and saw Almanzo and Laura Ingalls Wilder Association, and we met this young gentleman here who wants to talk about it. Who are you?
Edward Bud Tattershaw.
Bud Tattershaw, come over here and tell me, well, first of all, you got some wonderful old tools hanging up back here. Those are the greatest.
These are tools that are used in the construction of a post and beam barn. You have to take your logs, which Almanzo his father would have obtained right from the farm, I'm sure, and hand hew them so they're square. And then you can place them in your barn complex as part of the framework for the barn. But when they wanted to make shingles for the roof, they needed a frow. So you have a rather angular piece there.
Well, there's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
No.
That is a shingle frow. That's exactly what that is. This
And-
looks like a green shovel over here, maybe?
A grain shovel, yes. I have it there mainly because we wanted to show that even the simplest little tool has real style back in their day. Yeah. And then, of course, if you want to bring your piece of log down to a particular measurement, the finer tool would be the adze to use, because the broad axe is rather coarse.
Well, I had to learn how to spell ads when I started playing Scrabble because my wife is so much better than I am. That's one of my favorite words. Now, you told me that you got some real serious construction going on at the homestead these days.
We do, yes. And I should want to say that it's the Wilder family that lived there out at the farmhouse, the Wilder Farm, which is about 84 acres. But unfortunately, the barns were gone. So back 2 years ago, we started developing the center part of the barns, which now looks something like this in the good old snow. So deep sometimes we have trouble trying to get into the house to service it. But now they're putting up the post and beam framework on the south wing of the barn. And we'll only have one more wing to go then, and hopefully we'll have the barn pretty much as Almanzo would have remembered it. But it shows up particularly well now against the sky because you can actually see the framework before they put on the boards and cover it all up.
Give us a little indication where the Wilder homestead is located.
It's about 3 miles outside of Malone, just inside of the Burke border, because Burke is being a township. The west line of the Wilder farm is the town line. And Almanzo, in his book, of course it's his wife that wrote the book, only mentions Malone. He never mentions going home to Burke. He always mentions leaving Burke to go to Malone, either to church or to the store. Or in the end, he and his brother Royal must have taken their horses like a ramada down Main Street, I would assume, and went up to Ogdensburg and took his father's strain of Morgan horses out to Spring Valley, Minnesota. And when they arrived there, they lived in his uncle's farm. His uncle George, his mother's brother, had died, and he moved into his brother's farmhouse, or his uncle's farmhouse, a very much larger one than they have. This is quite modest in size.
Now this home was in kind of a state of pretty poor repair until quite recently. Tell me about how this rehabilitation of the property came about.
That's because of a young lady by the name of Dorothy Smith, which is kind of a hidden name because she really is a cousin, a double first cousin to Almanzo Wilder. And since 1949, when she discovered the site, she and her mother, of where the farm was, that relates to the Little House book, Farmer Boy, she'd been trying to obtain it in order to turn it into a museum. And a year before she died, unfortunately, it was successful, and we formed the Almanzo and Laura Ingalls Wilder Association. But it was in poor shape, as you say, and it took us 3 years just to get out of the cellar.
We're going to be doing a program about this Wilder house one of these days. This is kind of a preview today, so we thank you for inviting us in for a little minute.
Well, thank you very much. Awfully glad.
Great to meet you. We're going to walk a little further and check out what we can see at the Franklin County Fair.
Pressure Branch with Jigs Frazier.
We have a little bit of excitement here because we're standing in front of the grandstands, taking a look at the end of a horse race and showing you what it looks like from a spectator's point of view inside the Franklin County Fairgrounds. Remember earlier in our program when we talked to Howard, he showed us the plans of a new stage which will be constructed in 1998, and you can just get an example of what the old stage has looked like for a long time. He described it as being on a cement slab, and that's exactly the way it is. They'll maintain the same dressing room area but build onto that when the new stage is completed. This Franklin County Fairgrounds, I think you can see, has remained essentially unchanged for many decades. It certainly wouldn't be difficult for me to find my way around, and I haven't been here since I was 18 years old. It's also gratifying, I'm sure, for Howard, the fair manager, and the board of directors, and for just about everybody to see how well attended the events are here at the Franklin County Fair. We're talking about 8 minutes to 2 on a Friday afternoon, when you would think most people in Franklin County would be at work, but either there are a lot of people playing hooky today or a lot of people took their vacation for the Franklin County Fair, and I think that's probably part of it. The grandstand here is probably more than half full at this time for the evening events and for the Demolition Derbies, as Howard mentioned. Man, they're just about sold out. Well, they say if you want the real truth about anything, you got to go right to the horse's mouth. And we've gone as close as we can get. Larry, what's your last name?
Lannerman.
What do you do? You told me before.
Well, number one, I'm a professional driver and trainer in the standardbred industry, and I run the standardbred harness racing program at Morrisville College.
Not Morrisonville, as the announcer said
No.
a few minutes ago.
It's Morrisville College. We're right dead in the center of New York State. We're about 35 miles east of Syracuse. We have a 2-year equine harness racing program there right now, and we've been approved by the state of New York. We're going to a 4-year bachelor's program starting the fall of '98. So students will be able to get a 2-year degree in standardbred equine management, or they'll be able to get a Bachelor of Technology in equine standardbred management at our school.
That's a pretty slick looking van you got down there too. We saw it on the way by.
Well, it's all bought and paid for by the money we make with our horse sale we have down there. We have the only standardbred sale in New York State. It's the third weekend of September every year. And all of everything that we have here, our horses, equipment, everything is bought and paid for by our students and the money we make racing and selling horses.
That's the best kind of education too, isn't it?
Well, yeah, they're learning business while they're there in school, you know, getting their education, because we have to run our equine program as a business. You know, it's like every other program in New York State, fund cuts and things like that, so we have to fund ourselves at 65%. These kids driving today, they're in their second and third summers driving with me. So I have 2 young ladies driving today. So far we've had a first, a second, and a fourth. And a young man drove yesterday. He's one of my students. He had a second and fourth. And then I raced one of the stake horses we trained for an owner and was third in a 3-year-old trot yesterday.
That's not hard to take.
No, they get a lot of hands-on in our program up there. They learn how to drive and train horses, clean stalls, anatomy and physiology, nutrition, you name it, they learn it. Anything there is to know about a horse we teach.
Where are you originally from?
Born and raised in the state of Ohio, but I'm also a Morrisville graduate of 1973 in the equine program. And then I went back to Ohio and I ran a public training stable. I had a 25-horse public training stable till they called me into coming up here and teaching in the program.
How long have you been there?
I've been there 11 years now. This is my 11th year. I came up here to New York State in June of 1987.
A lot of worse ways to make a living, aren't there?
Well, yeah, I love the harness horse industry, and it's big business today. It used to be a family sport, but now it's big business. And anybody that thinks they can go to work and start out as a groom and learn all the aspects of the game by just working for a trainer, they're wrong. You've got to have an education today to make it in the horse business.
I'm sure a lot of our viewers didn't even know your school existed until today. I'm glad we met you.
Well, a lot of them don't, unless they view Vernon Downs or come around to the county fairs. We hit around 15 to 16 county fairs through the state of New York, plus we race in Massachusetts, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and all over the state up here.
Nothing beats the atmosphere of the little hometown county fair.
Oh, I love the county fairs. It's what the game is all about. I raced at a lot of county fairs in Ohio, and you've got to get these kids out, and they're out here driving, and they're competing with professionals, and they're still amateurs, and my students do darn well. I'm very proud of them.
You mentioned used to be a family sport. Some of the families I see at every single fair have been in it for years and years. It's kind of amazing, for generations, actually.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of second, third, and fourth generation horsemen today, but there's not near as many as there used to be. And if we don't keep educating youth and putting them into the game is going to die. It's like any other sport. If you don't have interest, the interest dwindles and the game quits.
I don't think there's any more excitement of any kind of horse racing than the racing that, like you see right here today at the Franklin County Fair. This is real fun.
Oh yeah, it gets your blood pumping. It's tough driving on these county fair bull rings too. I've always told these kids, I said they have the licensing all wrong with the USTA. You should have to have a parimutuel driver's license before you get a county fair license. Because at a parimutuel track, you're dealing with 90 to 100 foot of smooth surface and ideal conditions. Bring Johnny Campbell up here to Malone, New York, and we'll see how well he does driving some of these rats and orangutans up here.
I'm sure a lot of the people who watch horse racing once a year, twice a year at a county fair don't realize how much is involved, not only in training the drivers and the horses, but in getting set up to make the fair circuits, and there's always politics involved and so many things on the inside, aren't there?
Well, there's a lot. If you're going to race 2- and 3-year-old stake colts, you're either raising them at home on your farm or you have to go to a public auction and buy them. And the easy part's buying the horse. The hard part is stake payments, vet bills, shoeing bills, getting that horse to the races. It's very difficult. The people sit in the stands and they don't know how much is involved in just getting one of these horses ready to come out here to compete. There's a lot to it. These guys, they're out on the racetrack in sub-zero weather, pouring down rain, snow, the whole 9 yards, and we start racing in Vernon early in the spring. A lot of nights we don't do any good, a lot of nights we do good, but the horses still have to be taken care of.
It's like the Olympics. You got to work it year-round, stay in shape.
That's right, you do. You've got to have your horses in shape, your drivers have to be in shape. and everything has to click.
And equipment isn't as cheap as it used to be either.
No, it's $350 for just a basic harness, $150 to $250 for bridle, $200 for a set of hobbles. Race bikes are anywhere from $1,000 and up. Gasoline's $1.45 a gallon. Trucks and trailers are expensive to run up and down the highway.
So your suggestion is, unless you have a rich uncle, go down to your school and get the training and see what happens after that.
Well, yeah, our program's a great place to start out. We get a lot of kids that have never touched a horse before, but they might have been here at the Franklin County Fair and saw harness racing while they were still in high school. And they decided it's very interesting. They don't know how to get involved. Maybe they found out about our college, through a program like you're doing right here on a cable station. Maybe they've read some articles that were wrote about our students and stuff. Like this young man won 3 races in his hometown of Plattsburgh a few weeks ago, and they had a real nice article in the program. Yeah, this gentleman right here.
Well, get him on over here.
Justin
Come on.
Staggles.
Yeah, because we just did a program on the Clinton County Fair recently. What's your name again, Justin?
Justin Steigels. I'm from Plattsburgh, New York. I graduated in Peru Central, 1995.
All right, we got a hometown boy.
That's right, North Country boy.
That's terrific. Now tell us about your what you did at the Clinton County Fair.
Well, I won 3 races out of 4. It was nice to win up home. Just because it's at home, you feel like there's a lot of pressure. Actually, there isn't. But you want to do something good for the hometown crowd. You want to show them what it's all about and at least publicize the sport. As Larry said earlier, I got into harness racing by accident. I watched the Kentucky Derby. My friend took me to Vernon Downs. Then the military had moved my father to Plattsburgh, and I watched the fair for 4 years. I went every day and was there all day long from about 10 in the morning till 5 at night. And for 2 years, I wrote for the Press Republican, Mr. Bob Getz, because there was no publicity. So I went and wrote for him and to at least publicize the sport, give some news, make it a positive thing. There's so many negative things anymore about horses in general. Horses and accidents or whatever, and somebody needs to say something positive. And I'm glad you guys are around here talking to us today because it's a positive thing. Horse racing isn't bad. It's a good family sport to come out and watch. There's nothing wrong with it.
Boy, they get the crowds here. As I said, a little bit after 2 on a Friday afternoon, nice group of people in the stands, and that's another thing that gets the old juices flowing when you're out there and ready to go, and you can hear the hometown crowd rooting for you.
Nothing beats it, that's for sure.
Right.
Nothing beats it. No bigger pressure point either. All the horses in the race, they're all horses, but when you got the hometown crowd there, you just want to show them that little bit of extra stuff.
So you came here, your dad came here with the Air Force from where?
We moved up from Griffiths Air Force Base in Rome, New York.
Yes, people in Plattsburgh are very familiar with Griffiths Air Force Base in Rome.
Yeah,
I don't have to tell you that we lost our air base here.
You ain't got to tell me that.
It was a heck of a battle along the way, and a lot of people in Peru School and elsewhere are still feeling the pinch of losing that air base. If we sound a little bit bitter at times, we are, because we were very jealous about it. We always wish the best for the future, but look what the Air Force brought to town. They brought you here. You're a terrific spokesman for the sport.
Somebody's got to broadcast it. Someone's got to say good things about it, and it's just, back in '93, I was reading a magazine, and one guy wrote, he says, if you're not helping harness racing, then you're part of the problem. And I took that to heart, and that's when I went down to the local sports editor and said, it's time to turn things around. You got a county fair, let's utilize it. Let's make this positive. And that's what I try to do. I try to make everybody come out, everybody I talk to. Go to Vernon Downs, go to Saratoga, go to your local track. You don't have to bet any money, just go watch. It's fun. Betting isn't horse racing. Horse racing is watching some horses compete just like car racing. Same thing, just an animal, that's all.
Yeah, but horses are special. I mean, that's the way I feel about it. I've always loved horses. I've never owned a horse, but I always wished I had, and I don't know how many people are that way.
There's nothing like a horse. The horses are the best animals in the world because they give everything back to you they can. That's all they care about. The horses, they know you feed them, they know you clean their stalls, they know you give them hot baths when they're done working out. All they want to do is give you the best in the world, and if you give them the best, they're going to give you the best. They're the greatest animals in the world.
I think you said the magic phrase, and maybe 2 or 3 more magic phrases on top of that, because horses are a lot smarter than some people would like to give them credit for.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot of horses smarter than people I've seen sometimes. It's just
he's getting down the nitty gritty,
A
Larry.
horse is easier to deal with than a human being is. Because, you know, a lot of people, you can show them, you can be kind and be compassionate human being, and they'll still turn around and stick you in the back. Where if you're kind and compassionate to an animal like a horse, he's going to do the best he possibly can for you. He won't do anything wrong to you.
I'm kind of glad we stopped here today. We met the hometown boy. We met Mr. Professor himself, and I hope you both have everything you ever want in this world.
Couldn't ask for anything more with horses.
Thanks for inviting us by, Larry.
Well, thanks for talking to us. Hopefully we can get some more students from the North Country and get them down to our college and get some more good people into the horse industry like we've done with Mr. Staggles here.
And I can't wait to hear that trumpet and hear Calvin scream, and they're off. We'll continue our program in just a few moments from the Franklin County Fair. We're at 2:15 in the afternoon, still at the Franklin County Fair, and you can see traffic coming into this place as steady as she goes. It's a beautiful sunshiny day, one of the finest summers the North Country has had in many years, and for every fair director and for all the fair goers, the good weather couldn't come at a better time. This Franklin County Fair is as well attended this year as it has been in many years, and it's going on 147 years, as we learned earlier. Something we did on an earlier program was talk to the people at Lion Mountain Correctional Facility, and we found out that the inmates from Lion Mountain, along with the correction officers, have been involved in literally hundreds of projects in churches and schools and public and private areas over the years since Lion Mountain was first constructed. And one of their proudest projects involved the work they recently completed here at the Franklin County Fair. You see this gleaming white siding on the dairy barn, the beautiful green roofs, the gleaming siding all the way down through. All of this and more is the result of a rather lengthy project done by a crew from Lion Mountain Correctional Facility. We talked with the superintendent in a program that we actually taped what would have been yesterday previous to recording this program today, and he said, when you get to the Franklin County Fair, I want you guys to take a picture of what we've done there because it's so tremendously successful, and it is. You compare this building with some of the other buildings, and as I mentioned earlier in our program, some of these buildings are essentially the same as they were 40 and 50 years ago when I attended the Franklin County Fair as a child. So I'm sure the fair directors and the public who likes to enjoy the Franklin County Fair is very grateful to that crew from the Lion Mountain Correctional Facility for all the work they've done here to make this Franklin County Fair in 1997 truly bigger and better.
Yeah. He'll be bringing another one.
And there she goes. And for those of our viewers who may be confused, that wasn't Don McNeil or any relative that I know about. Donald, how are you?
Fine. You?
Oh, terrific. You can't get a better week for a fair, can you?
No, it's nice weather.
We're
Good
in this
turnout.
huge dairy barn. They told us it was, what, 600 and some feet long? I never
Oh,
seen
just
it.
under 700 feet.
Unbelievable. Got to be one of the longest dairy barns in the fair circuit. We're talking about the Lion Mountain inmates having put a new roof on it and done a lot of siding up here to make it look a little better.
They did a lot of work in the last year on it. They installed some exhaust fans, keep it cooler for the cattle in here, and usually they're really good to work with you up here. If you want something, they'll try to accommodate you. So
It's very nice of Don to train the cows to make the sounds just when we needed a few sound effects here today. What have you got here this year?
we brought up 13 head, all registered air shears. There's 6 cows and the rest young cattle.
Is this from your own farm?
Yep,
Where's that located?
Elmberg Center.
Okay, just to let people know, because this program hopefully will be seen in 3 counties, and although everybody in this building knows who Don is, some of the folks might not. Have you been in farming all your life?
Yep,
Brought up in a farm family?
yep.
Right, within a short distance of where you
Yeah,
live now?
about
or-
8 miles from where we live now.
You know, it's harder and harder to keep family farms together, isn't it, Don?
Yeah, it's going to continue to be higher, the price of milk. You're getting prices now you got 20 years ago. I don't know what the answer is, but they're going to drive everybody out. Family farms, nobody can survive anymore. $11 milk, you got that 20 years ago, and with the inflation rates the way it was, nobody can survive. There's older people, 60 years old, ready to retire. They don't have a payment, and they just can't make ends meet with the light bills, taxes, insurance, whatever it is. They're losing money.
And it's too bad because farm business is a good, healthy business. It's the backbone. I've always said farmers are the backbone of this entire North Country. And if more of the family farms continue to close, I don't know where we're going to be down the road. Here we are with our little soapbox going here today, but it's the truth, Don.
Yeah, it is. People are going to go hungry, and it's not going to be long. But they bring in the foreign stuff over here, powdered milk and that. There's no guidelines overseas. They bring it over here and repackage it, sell it as their own, and they don't seem to care. But it's not the farmer making the money, it's the middleman. There was an article in one of the magazines about 2 weeks ago. At that time, that would have been in July, the price of milk and what the retailers are charging was 198% more than they're paying for their product. And if they get 200, then it's price gouging. They can take them and put a stop to it. They've got to be over it now because milk just dropped 32 cents a hundred again.
How many head do you have?
Just about 100 head altogether. We milk about 50, 52, 53 usually. And we like going to shows. We get to Springfield, Harrisburg, Syracuse. We went to Royal last year in Toronto. And then the local players here in Plattsburgh. So
how do you do?
Yeah, we can't complain. Kel was grand champion at Syracuse a couple of years ago. We've had 5 or 6 All-Americans over the year. So we can't complain. We've always done well.
So in spite of the fact that it's hard to stay in business, there are some rewards when you go to a fair or another show and your cows do well.
Yeah, the best thing coming to the fair is you see people you meet once a year, maybe twice a year. Your old friends, that's the only time you see them. This is your vacation. You work harder here than if you stayed home, but...
You know, that's what we said when we looked into the grandstands and saw all the people there today. I said there are an awful lot of people either playing hooky, told people they had a headache and called the boss up this morning, or a lot of people that actually take Fair Week off for vacation because they enjoy going there.
Yeah, a lot of people plan their vacations this week, and they come, and it's an enjoyable fair up here. The entertainment's here, they keep it clean, and so everybody here enjoys it.
Yeah, the Franklin County Fair is what a local county fair is all about, has been for years. They've kind of been the model of county fairs for a lot of New York State for a long time.
Actually, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think they're the 3rd largest county fair in the state, attendance-wise in that.
I know they're the 3rd or 4th largest in premiums. The assistant fair manager told us that a short time ago. What's going on across the way here, Don?
He's just fitting that animal for the show tomorrow. The idea when you fit them is to make her look the best you can for the judge. Same as a woman getting her hair done. You stand the hair up in the right places and clip some off, and it's the same thing. You just get the hair where you can make these animals look the best. And you put a little extra milk in the udders maybe just to fill them out and make them look like fresher, and you wash them good and clean. And it's just a general appearance is what the show is all about.
We don't want to give away any of your tricks of the trade here, but I imagine you've developed a few over the years.
Yeah, we just bring them, wash them, and clip them up, and put a little milk in them, and that's it. So
nice looking cows. Have you always had the same kind?
Yeah, well, those aren't mine, but these are my cousins. So we've always had Holsteins at home, and then we started with Ayrshires after my father died. So we've got a few Holsteins left, 4 or 5, I guess, but.
Little friendly competition in the family here, or?
Not really, not with the different breeds.
Just a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's all it is.
Do you stay here the whole week, Don?
4 days. We come in yesterday morning, we can go home Sunday night.
Now everybody wants to know who's doing the chores.
ABS technician right now.
Don, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're having fun today at the Franklin County Fair. You know, I'm always going to follow my nose, and I found a place where we're going to make food in the 4-H building. Who are you?
My name is Jessica Anderson.
Jessica, where do you live?
I live in St. Regis Falls.
And you're here with what 4-H group?
St. Regis Falls Snowbirds.
All right, no snow in St. Regis Falls today, we hope. It's a beautiful day for the fair. What are you going to do for us?
I'm going to make chili popcorn.
There's a new one, but you know I'm ready to try anything.
Okay, basically what you do is you pop the popcorn, and then you melt the butter, and you add the chili powder, some salt. You mix it in with the butter, and then you pour it over the popcorn, and it's very simply easy to do.
But when you finish, there won't be any left for you because I'm taking the bowl and Calvin and I are going to be out of here. Have you tried it before?
No, actually, this is the first time I've tried.
This is a first, huh?
I've had another recipe I made. It's called New York Cheesecake, and that was very good.
No, that's all. Already sounds good to me.
It was very good, and it was not too bad.
Well, get started there. We're going to watch as you get started while we look around the building, all right?
Okay.
That's great. St. Regis Falls. I could tell you all the stories I can remember about St. Regis Falls and about how a friend of mine, Jim Andre, used to be a young state trooper up there when I was in high school, and how I had a 1939 Ford Coupe that I thought was the fastest car in the world. And Jim Andre thought they had a troop car that was a little bit faster, and guess what it was? And we met Jim Andre 30 some years later, and he said, "Do you remember when?" And I said, "Yeah." "Did you have to remind me?" My mother sold that car because she swore I was going to get killed in it. But I do have a lot of great memories here in the North Country. Let's listen.
Tablespoons, your spices, your butter, and your popcorn. Now, well, in this case, I'm using a hot plate. You would use a stove, obviously. First, what you're going to do is put your popcorn in your popper because it takes quite a while for it to pop. Make sure you put the cover on, because one time I didn't put the cover on, it just got over everywhere. Next, what you're going to do, you're going to at least wait about 5 minutes till it begins to pop, and then you can begin putting the butter. While you're doing that, I usually measure out my spices, because then I've got approximately 1/8 teaspoon of this, because a lot of people do not like chili powder, so I'm going to make it a little less strong. Now we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Again, I'm not going to add as much. And we're going to mix this together. And in this case, I have a spoon. Okay, it's beginning to pop now, so I'm going to add my 1/2 stick of butter, which is with a 1/4 cup. I'm going to cut it with my spatula, so it's about here. And you're going to cook this on low. I have a tendency of to get stuff done, so I'm not going to cook it on high. Okay. You want to keep the butter because butter burns very easily, and especially if you're making candy, it does not work right. The ingredients are 1/4 cup of butter, a 1/2 teaspoon of chili powder, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and 1 to 2 quarts of popcorn. As you can see here, my butter is beginning to melt. It's also sticking to my spatula. Okay, well, you want to keep stirring it because it's going to melt and it will burn. As it is, I want to turn this down just a wee. Okay. I have never tried this before, so I suppose some people can, be guinea pigs, but okay. The butter is almost melted here. Okay, and we're gonna let this just finish melting, and our popcorn is half popped as it is. Okay, so we wait till our popcorn is melted and the butter is melted, and then we can go on from there.
While you're waiting, why don't you tell us how you got involved in 4-H?
Okay, actually we were originally in one club, and it was too far where we lived, and so my mom started the St. Regis Falls Snowbirds, and I've been with them, I was going to say 3 years, I think it's, 2 years. It'll be 2 years this year, upcoming year.
What are some of your favorite projects?
One is cooking.
I can tell.
I enjoy cooking. And I'm not a big sewer person. My mom likes to sew. So our butter is all melted here, and we're going to add our spices, and we're going to stir them. Now, if you want more like chili powder or salt, you can add more. I'm just going to do it because some people don't like too much chili powder, some like more. So I'm just... Now, it turns about this color. It's like a nice brownish color. And our popcorn is almost finished popping. Now, if you do It's best if this popcorn is hot, because if not, it's really gross. So, almost done. And when it's just about done, and we can put it in the bowl and taste it.
Calvin thinks I won't try it, but you know I'm going to. I'll try anything once. And I'll try to be honest with you. And since this is television, you may be able to tell.
Okay, so
Boy, that's popping good.
okay, it's almost done. Okay. All right, here we go. Now, the next step to this lovely, delightful project. Let's take the thing, if the thing will come off here. Going to put it in our bowl. There we go. And
I
that's.
think you popped every single kernel. How did you do that? I never can do that.
Well.
Oh, there's two more. Did you get that, Calvin? Boy, I'll tell you.
Okay, now we're going to pour our butter over it evenly, like this. And I'm going to use a scraper, and then we'll get all the rest off here. And
Oh, yeah?
Yes, you get to taste
After me,
testis.
buddy boy.
Make sure it's poisonous.
Yeah, you watch the expression on
Okay.
my face. I'm a pretty good actor, but
all right, now what you want to do next is you're going to want to stir the popcorn, and then you're ready to serve it.
okay, I'm ready to go. You ready, Calvin? Oh, it's toasty and warm. Yeah. You know what? I can hardly taste the chili in it. Maybe in about 10 minutes I'll be able to. No, it's very good. It's very tasty.
Thank you.
As she said, no, get into it.
Yes, go ahead. Everybody can try some.
It's, you know, you can, after a while, you can taste it. I'm not sure. If I were to make it, I think I might add a little more chili powder, only because I like chili powder. You said some people don't. Here's a guy who's a bad actor over here. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't fool me a bit.
Well, I like a lot of chili powder, but my mom and my brother don't like it too much, so I would make it like this. Maybe with mine, I'd dump in a few more tablespoons.
Well, you know what? I think I've learned something here, and when I go home tonight, guess what I'm going to have for a midnight snack?
A copy of the recipe? I can
Yeah.
write one down real quick.
I would love one. We'll be back to pick it up because we're going to take a little tour through the building and see what else we can see at the Franklin County Fair. We're continuing our tour of the Franklin County Fair, 1997 edition. Beautiful, bright, sunshiny August day. And where did we stop?
I have to tell you, Gordy, this is the Franklin County Fair.
Did I say Clinton County Fair? Hey, either way, we've been both places. We'll do the whole. I wouldn't be surprised if we do the Essex County Fair before we're through too. Who are we talking to?
I'm Dr. Evelyn Weissman.
Doctor from
Malone,
Malahide.
yeah, from Malahide Hospital.
Tell us what you have at your exhibit today.
What I have is my new area of interest, which is Ayurveda, which is the ancient Indian holistic medical practice. And I'm by trade a general surgeon. And I've been studying Ayurveda for about 2 years now, and I'm beginning to incorporate it into my practice.
And isn't it amazing that medicine is coming around to accommodate some of the views that people have had for centuries?
Centuries, yes. This discipline is 5,000 years old. And
we're going to try it till they get it right.
That's right. Well, I think they got it right. I've been in medicine for about 20 years now, and what I realized was that we were very good at taking care of the body, but we were missing the areas of the mind and the spirit, which I feel Ayurveda encompasses. And so that's what I've been working with, and been having very good results with patients that have had some problems that were difficult to treat with conventional medicine.
And what has reaction been among your peers and contemporaries?
Well, you know, it depends on how you present it. If we present it as alternative medicine, a lot of people will say, well, you know, we don't need an alternative. We have good medicine. But if we present it as complementary medicine, we say it complements what we already have, which is the way I feel about it. Certainly, we have the state-of-the-art medicine that we're practicing right now at Alice Hyde. We have everything up to date, you know, ready for the 21st century. But this ancient discipline complements the good technology and the good skills that we've developed so that we can offer the patient just a little bit more.
study of medicine at best is a very humbling thing, and I'm sure you're like I am, although I've never studied medicine. I admire people who have, and the more you learn, the more you realize, the more there is to learn, not only about how people work, but how the various medical systems work, and you're trying to tie it all together. Explain to me what it does, what it hopes to do.
What it does is to help people eventually become their own physicians, essentially. To
Physician, heal thyself.
Heal thyself. To learn enough about yourself, about what you are, what your body needs, what your mind needs, what your spirit needs, so that you can be aware of when something is out of balance. You can get it back into balance to prevent developing a serious problem. Of course, we'll always need physicians for serious problems like heart attacks and appendicitis and so on. But this is a preventive health maintenance kind of a thing which puts the patient in charge of their own health care, which puts the responsibility back to the individual patient. And it's, as you said, it's humbling, but it's very rewarding because people who are doing this themselves actually feel a sense of empowerment that they can take charge of their own health care and they can see the results.
Was there a little trepidation in the beginning until you explained to people what's happening?
There's always, learning something new or discovering something new is always, there's the fact of fear of the unknown. But once they know that I'm not going to shake rattles with them, that we're going to work with the conventional medicine and we're going to just add to it. And that the things that they can do are very simple things. They're things that involve things like your diet, just changing the types of food you eat, use of different spices, which actually are medicine. And we're not going to, give them herbs and say, take 2 herbs, call me in the morning. But we're gonna,
Go on. I love that paraphrase. That's cool.
You use the herbs in your cooking and you use the herbs in your daily life, and they help you to stay healthy. And we realize that almost all of the medicines that we use have come from herbs originally. Taking them in their natural form is a little bit easier. There are fewer side effects, and people respond to it nicely.
How can you knock something that's been working for 5,000 years? Doctor, that's terrific. How refreshing it is to talk to you today and to find out what you're all about. What else is happening here at this booth that we might want to talk about?
We have Linda over here blowing up balloons.
Linda, come on over and say hello. That sound wasn't from Linda, that was from the balloon. How are you?
Good, thank you very much.
Tell us what's going on here today. First, what's your last name?
Linda Morshell. I'm the development director at the New Ready Cancer Treatment Center.
Well, we'd like to talk a lot more about that.
You
As
would?
a matter of fact, we're probably going to do another program which may have aired already by the time we get this one on the air about that center, but tell us about it.
You did, and you didn't check with me
No,
first.
we're going to be there later. Tell us about it.
Well, we are due to open in September, and we will have radiation therapy treatments and medical oncology. Dr. Sanchez will be there. And we will do lots of support services, and part of what we do when we're at these fairs is do a lot on prevention and literature to get people to quit smoking and to eat right. It's kind of along the lines of what Dr. Weissman was talking about. A little bit of prevention and empowerment is really an important thing.
Do you think that's really a key to get people to take charge of their own health rather than to rely on the physician? Like taking your car to a mechanic after the brakes have failed?
That's a loaded question, but I will say that, that ounce of prevention saying is really relevant. If people understand that they can do little things in their lifetime to make changes, they may be able to reduce their risk of heart disease, cancer, and many of the other diseases that have to do with lifestyle. And we see a lot of lifestyle-related cancers, unfortunately, things that may have been prevented. And of course, you can't really predict Mother Nature. It's in your genetics. There's a lot of factors that have to do with whether you get sick or not with one thing or another.
And strangely enough, from what physicians have told me, there seems to be sometimes regional and environmental factors involved, and some of those were hard put to explain.
Well, that's hard to comment on, in that when I see my statistics, what kind of cancers we're seeing, where they're coming from, I don't see anything that's remarkable. Like the Northeast tends to have a little bit more of a rate than the rest of the country because of the industry, the pollution. Environment.
We have higher incidence of heart problems here in northeastern New York than some other parts of the country.
And I bet that would be lifestyle related.
Yeah.
The smoking and the high-fat diets, the traditional diets, and you can't really put your finger on one thing. There are definitely things that do cause cancer, and those are smoking, and I'm sure you hear them all the time of what you should stay away from, and sometimes environmental hazards. They're doing a lot of studies on what you can do to reduce your risk. And I have access to, or we also have access to, a cancer facts line, which you can dial in a subject and you will get faxed information on that subject, and a lot of it has to do with research and risk factors and what to do if you're diagnosed with certain diseases, or cancer and specifically. So if anybody wants information on that, I'm happy to help them with that too.
They can contact
It's free.
you. How can they contact you?
I'll give you
They
the...
stop here at the fair.
Well, that or call 1-800-640-7199.
You hope you got it right.
Yeah, I hope I got it right. Otherwise, somebody's going to get a lot of calls that, where the heck am I
I'm
calling?
sure we'll all hear about that too. Thanks so much for having us
Well,
by
sure,
here today.
I appreciate it.
Glad
Thank
to meet you. Good
Yeah.
luck with everything down there. Gordy Little reporting from the Franklin County Fair. No, I don't think I'll say Clinton County Fair again today, or at least I'll try not to. Franklin County Dairy Days, the big sign screams. Hi, who are you?
Renee Durant.
Renee, where do you hail from?
I live in Bombay, New York.
It's a great place to live.
Yeah. This is the Franklin County Dairy Days booth, and it's manned by the Franklin County Dairy Princess Program, Farm Bureau, and the Dairy Promotion Team. And a joint effort to promote dairy products throughout Franklin County.
Hey, listen, when you got ice cream sandwiches, you can't be all bad, you know.
We have milk for 25 cents a glass, and we're selling t-shirts and Klondike bars and free samples of cheese, compliments of McAdams, Chateauguay Co-op. And we also have yogurt, compliments of Seal Test out of North Lawrence. For our dairy people, we have bumper stickers from Farm Bureau.
Yeah, my other car's a tractor.
Yes, that's true. So this is a way of outreach to the different people to let them know about farming programs in Franklin County.
Well, I think we ought to talk a lot about farming programs in all counties in northern New York. We interviewed an area farmer from Clinton County a short time ago, and these aren't easy days for farmers.
No, they're not. It's really tough times, and something has to be done soon, or we won't have any dairy farmers.
We still have a lot of great family farms in Franklin County.
They're becoming fewer and fewer. Yes, at this point, but I think if something doesn't happen pretty soon, we're going to see the family farm not existing much longer.
I think we might have interviewed the Franklin County Dairy Princess some time ago at a function, but can you tell me a little bit about it?
This year, our Dairy Princess is Mindy Cornell, and she lives in North Bangor. And in the fall, she'll be attending Canton College. She's here today. She was down in the ring. We had 4-H showmanship classes, and she was handing out ribbons. We have a large dairy court this year. We have quite a few. Julie Holcomb from Chateauguay is our alternate dairy princess. We have Sarah Godin from Constable, and we have Deanne Sherwin from Malone. So we have quite a variety from the different places in the county.
I was looking at the list of Dairy Princess events, and I saw Giant Ice Cream Sunday. Don't tell me I missed the first one.
No, yes, you did the first one. The next one is tomorrow at 1 o'clock right here, and it's 75 cents. And this is to help, promote dairy products also.
Can't believe Calvin set this up on a Friday, and we could have been here on Saturday, and I could have brought the biggest spoon I could find.
Oh, come on back. We're also doing at 3 o'clock in front of the grandstand a milking contest with local politicians, which should be quite an event, a special event we're going to
I
call
haven't
it.
milked a cow by hand in a long time. Well, probably since I attended the Franklin County Fair the last time, but I bet I could do it.
Well, I'll tell you what. Plan to come back next year and we'll do it, and you can be one of the contestants.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we'll give
My luck, I'd fall off the three-legged stool.
I don't think so. I think you probably do pretty good.
Now she's also got face painting, I see.
We've done face painting, and we had balloons, and of course the giant ice cream sundae draws a lot of people. And we're looking for new things for next year to draw in more people also.
How does a young girl get involved in that contest?
Well, we start putting advertisements out usually around April. We start looking different schools. We put the word out. We have our pageant here in Franklin County the middle of May. They have the state pageant in February, and she has that amount of time to get ready for the state pageant. You have to be a dairy farmer or related dairy business to participate and over 16 years old. We also have dairy ambassadors. They have to be at least 14 and be part of it, and then they come up through the ranks. Some of them do.
We went into the 4-H building and watched all the 4-H kids, and we went into the cattle barns. These have got to be the biggest dairy barns in the world down here.
We would like to think that Franklin County Fair is probably next to Syracuse, the state fair.
You're getting in pretty good company there, you know.
But I really think this is the 147th fair. So I think we've been around quite a while.
I haven't been to all 147, but I went to quite a few when I lived in this vicinity up until 1955. I like your T-shirts.
Well, we don't have too much of a selection left. Of course, Got Milk is the theme and has been for the last 2 years. And hopefully next year we'll have even a bigger and better variety.
Hey, I'm proud every time I have one of those famous milk mustaches. Of course, Calvin's got a mustache to start with, and it's almost that color these days.
Yesterday, this is what they did here. They did have the mustache contest, Got Milk. And these are the people who participated. I guess it was kind of a fun thing to do.
Read off a few of those names. I'm sure the parents and the kids will get a kick out of it.
We have Ariel Cornell. She's the Dairy Princess's youngest sister. Let me see here. We have Shelby Rock. I don't know just where she's from. Katie Lozon must be from Fort Covington. Of course, we have Mindy Cornell, the Dairy Princess. We have Dane Bush. I think he works here on the fairgrounds. He's from Chateauguay. Lori Cornell is also the Dairy Princess. We have Stephen Lozon from Fort Covington. Let me see somebody. Colleen Anderson. She is one of the Dairy Ambassador's moms.
Oh, that's a great mustache. Look at it.
So we had quite a few participants in this. It was really a fun thing to do.
Well, it's so nice of you to invite us over to your booth today, and lots of luck in everything you do.
Thank you. And come back next year.
And we'll certainly be around. If I could be here when that giant sundae came along again. I've got bigger elbows than your buddy Don McNeil. We're broadcasting and doing a fun job of it, I think, at the 1997 Franklin County Fair. I think you can probably hear the sound effects, some of my ancestors in the background, a little cock-a-doodle-doo, and a young gentleman that's going to tell us what's going on in the poultry barn. Who are you?
Aaron W.
Where are you from, Aaron?
North Bangor, New York.
That's a good place to be from, North Bangor, New York. You got some birds here today?
Yep.
Tell me about it.
I think I have 59 birds here.
Whoa! 59 birds? That's more than anybody.
Not really.
Really? Other people have more?
Yeah. I have quite a few, all different kinds.
Like what kinds?
Wyandottes, Cochins, Frizzles, geese, ducks, pigeons, pheasants. And
Have they been judged already?
yeah.
Tell me how you did.
Well, pretty good. I made $177.
Ooh, that ain't chicken feed, you know.
No.
Am I listening to any of your birds making noises right now, do you think?
Yeah.
Do they have any contest for noise making? No,
Yeah,
huh?
they have a rooster crowing contest.
Do they really?
Yep.
And you won it?
Yep.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Which bird?
A black Sumatra.
Yeah, where is he? Come on, we're going to follow him and we're going to find out just how this crowing takes place. Boy, I tell you, we didn't need to bring any canned sound effects with us today to the Franklin County Fair. I'm going to spin around here. Where is he?
Want to take him out?
Sure, take him out. I'm not afraid if Calvin's not afraid. Boy, and
No chickens here.
boy, he's not happy with you right now. I think he had other plans for the afternoon. Oh, listen to this. Well, you don't need me to talk with sounds like that. What's his name?
Sam.
He's Sam the man, huh?
Yep.
And what kind of bird is he?
He's a black,
Does it say right here?
oh, he's a black Sumatra.
Sumatra, black Sumatra, that's what he is. And he won the contest? When was the contest? Was it today or before?
It was a couple days ago.
But how do you get him to crow on cue?
Not just let him be as he wants to be.
Oh, really? Well, I'll tell you, we got some competitors right here going on. How many, you said you had how many birds? 50 what?
59.
Now, how did you get into the business of raising birds?
Well, we got
Poultry.
some little chicks like that when they were little,
Let's look down here at the little ones.
and we just liked them, so we got more chickens, and then we got some ducks. That's how our business started.
Now, who takes care of all of those birds?
Me and my dad,
What?
Barry Debia.
All right, do you have a big farm?
Yeah.
Pretty big? Cows too?
Yeah, my uncle has cows. That's where it is. It's at my uncle's.
Okay. So you kind of like, every one of your birds have a name?
Most of them.
Really? How do you think up new names all the time?
Usually look in a dictionary for a weird word.
And hope it's okay, huh?
Yep.
Well, that's terrific. Do you come down here every day during the fair?
Yep. Every day of the week.
Oh, that's terrific. Do you have any friends who raise birds too?
Yeah. We have quite a few people that I know that raise birds.
That's terrific. So how many first places did you take?
Probably 20, 25 first places.
Hey, it was worth it, wasn't it?
Yep.
That's terrific. Well, thanks for talking with us.
Okay.
See you later. Fine young man who seems to know what his fine feathered friends are all about. Look at these little chicks. Boy, I'll tell you. I've known some chicks in my day, Calvin, and none of them look quite like this. Aren't they beautiful? I remember Lee Moore on WCKY in Cincinnati, Ohio, in his late night television program where you could send, I guess it was $5 and get a certain number of baby chicks guaranteed to be alive upon arrival, a genuine illustrated Bible, and a crucifix that glowed in the dark, all for one package deal. Not too bad, huh? We're right inside the Poultry Barn, and I think anybody would have to not have the sound on their television turned up if they didn't realize where we were today. It's a very special place, special people, and a lot of very special birds at the Franklin County Fair. This is another segment of our program at the Franklin County Fair that probably could get along very nicely without any audio from me. If we didn't have a running commentary, you would be able to hear the sounds and certainly see the sights. This is every kid's delight. This is, of course, known as the Midway, the Carnival. Different fairs use different organizations to set up the rides. We found out from Howard earlier in our tour today that there are some 28 rides here at the Franklin County Fair, and this is the place where a lot of the kids like to come. Unlike myself, they don't mind going around in circles. I think I could do very well with that Ferris wheel. That looks fairly safe over there, but some of these rides make me just a little bit queasy just looking at them. This is where the fun is. I get flashbacks, a little bit of deja vu every time I step into a Midway, because I've been to a lot of fairs, not only the Franklin County Fair, but other county fairs, and have been to amusement parks, large and small, all over America. But your greatest memories are, of course, of your childhood, the very first time you were tall enough to go on the bumper cars. Do you remember the first time you were tall enough to go onto some of the other rides, the first time you could swing that hammer and the ball would go up and hit the bell. I don't even know if they have those at county fairs anymore. It was a very simple thing. I don't think it was rigged, but boy, I'll tell you, you were really a He-Man if you could swing that mallet with one arm. It was an awful lot of fun. And of course we got ripped off. But you know what? We knew we were going to get ripped off when we walked onto the Midway. We knew that only 1 in 1,000 people wins the big prize, but you talk about the golden ring at the end when you're going around on a carousel. That's why we buy lottery tickets. You always feel like this is going to be your day.
Well, over the years, Gordy, they've done a lot to clean that up, so the rigged games are pretty much a thing of the past. There's still a few around that people are watching for, but in our day it was different.
It was a whole different ball game. It was a matter of the buyer beware way back when we were younger. I don't mean to imply that the business is crooked, because there's a lot of fun to be had inside the Midway. The rides are all safe. They're always safety checked, as we know. Rarely are there ever any accidents anywhere. And these people at the Franklin County Fair have always been terrific about engaging a great carnival. The people of all ages, when the Barker says people of all ages, they're not kidding, because our cameras can pick up little tiny babies half asleep on their mom's shoulders, senior citizens who are like I am, remembering the early days at Coney Island when it was really a hopping place back in the 1930s and the 1940s, to various other midways all over the North Country. We will be attending many of the North Country fairs at this time. There's somebody, hey.
A young couple here, a couple of young lovebirds.
Just an anonymous couple who happens to walk up to the microphones today. How you guys doing?
Good, fine.
Great, wonderful day.
Isn't it? You
Beautiful.
can't beat this weather. Tell everybody who you are.
Lee, Mary Frenier.
Mary.
Hi.
What do you think about this sunshiny summer we've had this year?
Love it. Love it. I just love it. We've been in the pool more than we ever have, I think, in the 3 years we've had it.
It might be a good afternoon to hit the pool on the way home, huh?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Feel good.
Where are you guys from?
Altona, New York.
Yeah, where else is there? When you've been to Altona, you don't have to go anywhere else, right?
Right.
Do you guys often come to the Franklin County Fair?
Oh yeah, usually every year.
That's
Beautiful fair here.
It's a lot of fun. As somebody said a few minutes ago, I guess it was Don McNeil, wasn't it, that we interviewed? It's a place where you meet your friends, and you don't do any better than that. It's like old home week when you come here.
Right.
We weren't
A
here
lot of
5
people.
minutes and 2 or 3 people we seen right away.
Meet a lot of people here, you know.
You know, the funny part of it was, as I've said several times in the program, we'd only been in here a few minutes when a man ran up and shook my hand and said, "Gordy, how are you?" And I hadn't seen him since I was a senior in high school, the last time I attended this fair in 1955.
Really?
So when you meet old friends, we got the perfect example of that happening today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nothing like the excitement of the Midway, is there?
Of course, you're well known around here.
How many rides have you guys been on today?
Not one, and I'm not planning on it.
Can't get her to go on one.
Oh, now, Calvin and me, we're bigger chickens than they got over there in the Poultry Barn today. We like to watch other people having fun.
Me too, me too.
Thanks for coming by, guys.
Thank you.
Say hello to everybody in Altona.
Hi.
Well, if we haven't done anything else today, we've covered Altona, I'll tell you that. Ken, how you doing?
Not too bad today. It's kind of hot, though.
Ken Fourier from Altona, highway superintendent.
Superintendent of highways.
You told me you were laying tarmac this morning. Are you nuts?
No, it's hot out there, I tell you, but the work has to be done because there's a lot of the flood work that we catching up on.
People don't realize there's still work to do because of those crazy floods, huh?
You better believe it. We had over, I think we say probably about $100,000 worth of damage this year.
How close are you to wrapping it up?
We've probably got about 4 more sites to do and we'll be all done.
Who have you got here with you?
My son Stacy.
Stacy, how are you?
Good.
Is this your first time at the Franklin County Fair?
No.
You've been here before, huh? What do you like best here?
Rides.
Of course, the riots. I bet you didn't get on very many today either.
No, it's too hot for me to get in. I don't like going on these spooky rides.
fun to find the shade and let the little ones do it, huh?
You better believe it.
Well, we certainly have had a great time today. Thanks for talking with us, Kenny. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
You too, young man.
Yep.
I'll tell you what, Calvin and the people in the North Country, this has certainly been a very special kick for me. And if you had your television on today, you know how pleased I was to be here at the Franklin County Fair for the first time in some 42 years. It's like every other North Country County Fair, but the people here in Malone say it's just a little bit better. Who knows where we're going to be next time as you join us, we hope, for our program called Our Little Corner.